welcome to the European Parliament, where this afternoon all those British MEPs have left. They're on the way back to London as the UK prepares to leave the European Union at midnight tonight, Brussels time. Now, it was planned actually this time last year, when we thought that Britain was going to leave at the end of March 2019, that there was going to be a big ceremony to mark Britain leaving. That has somewhat been scaled back, and all we can expect tonight in Brussels is that the Union flag will be lowered outside the European Parliament in the wee small hours of tomorrow morning, and that will be it to mark what is for the first time a country, and a pretty major one, that leaving the European Union. But what does this all mean, and will anything change? Let's get the thoughts of one of our guests. We've got Helena Rallis, who is from the UK Law Society here in Brussels. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just on this note, what I think is really interesting is that legally the UK is leaving the EU tonight, but nothing will change. How does that work?
That is correct, Darren. Thank you very much for having me here, and I'm happy to help to explain some of the complexities involved. So essentially what happens now is that the UK will enter into the transition period. This will last until the end of 2020, and during that period, all the EU law acquis, as it is said, the legal framework of the EU law continues to apply. So all EU citizens can still rely on EU law in the UK. All UK citizens can continue to rely on EU law in the EU side, including also, of course, businesses. So everything continues in legal terms, but of course, with people like us who lobby the European Parliament, we become a third country lobbyist organisation.
Now, it must be said, of course, the tricky stage might well be these future talks. We've had the divorce, now we have to work out what the relationship's going to look like. And again, that could prove quite tricky because the time's pretty limited, isn't it?
It is very, very limited. It's a very tight time scale that we are looking at. Always these FTA talks, they have taken a few years for a good reason. Usually there's the scoping exercises, there's also simply the discussion on how this 1,000-page document can be drafted and put together so that it represents both interests. Now, to be fair, this is not only about the FTA as well. There are also lots of horizontal issues that will continue to be of importance in the continued relationship. One of them, of course, is something relating to the security cooperation or criminal justice cooperation. That's not in the scope of the FTA. Another one, which would be incredibly important for businesses and individuals, would be continued recognition and enforcement of judgments. Again, not something that doesn't fall in the scope of an FTA. So to speak of it as an FTA negotiation, it's simplistic.
Indeed, and it's going to be a very complex task. Just listening to that there is just a sign of how complex it is going to be. Now, let's move away from that for 1 second. I've got, as you may well have noticed, I've got a Union flag and an EU flag on my table because I'm going to give this to my esteemed colleague Jack Parrock, who joins me inside the Parliament. That is for you, and the reason I'm giving this is because I want you, Jack, to take this to London.
Indeed, so I am about to embark on a little road trip. I'm going to take the work car.
Literally a road trip.
Literally a road trip. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to make my own personal Brexit. I will be travelling to Calais in the car, getting on a ferry, speaking to people in the ferry terminal, on the ferry, on the deck, and then driving all the way to London, where I'll meet our colleague, Vincent McAviney.
And I want you to give him that.
And I will give this to him for you. I have my mobile phone kit that I will be travelling throughout the car. Our viewers can follow this trip on social media and live on air. We will start recording with you in our recording.
We're going to do it right now. Hello, everyone watching online. And for you watching at home, we're going to be following Jack's journey throughout the evening. When are you going to get to London? What time?
Hopefully about 10:30.
Hopefully around 10:30, just in time for when Britain is due to legally leave. As I say, we'll have full coverage of Jack's journey. He has to catch that ferry from Calais, and we'll have more guests throughout the day and throughout the afternoon here on Euronews. Back to you in Lyon, Tokes.
Really tough work for you guys over there in Brussels. Darren McCaffrey, our political editor there.